Armada book for Chapter 9 The Rock Part 3. The guests appeared and the first thing they saw was Brawny, Hilm, Poom and Blanton. Greetings, great leader Mist. Brawny greeted. Brawny continued, Andrew, this is our great council leader Mist. Mist approached Andrew, shook his hand and embraced him. He is taller at about 7.5 feet than most Maccabees, who are really tall people already, and wore a white uniform with red and orange belt decor. Olive produced several floating screens in some of the Armada areas. She and the other ships beam hologram screens of the meeting into all the Maccabee ships and ground areas. Then, as if on signal, as soon as Mist pulled out of Andrew's space, all the Maccabees knelt. While this is not new to the Armada, Andrew felt he should react and pull Mist back right up, but he delayed his move. The hall was quiet for a few moments and the Maccabees stood up. Our people wish to thank you, and we honor you as we honor our great leaders and ancestors. For your actions and from what we gather from the Maccabees, we are honored to be your friends. We hope this relationship will last forever. Mist said. Mist then introduced the other main council leaders and some of the Armada commanders to Andrew. Andrew introduced some of the commanders near him. This is Gadon, Keelmill, Eli, Sarudam, Rabina, Hyru and Rebecca. Great leader, we called you ahead of the others because there are 2 armadas, 10,000 ships from the Marsons and another 10,000 or so from the Greenoes. They will be here in 7 days. Brawny explained. Olive showed a hologram of the galaxies and the position of the 2 armadas. Andrew added, we would be sending forward ships in a few hours to prep the enemy ships. In 3 days our main armada will meet them here in this area. We would take over their ships. Before the main armada meets the enemy here, our forward ships would be going to the enemy galaxies to destroy or take over all of their ships. The question is, how do you want to deal with the 2 enemy civilizations? Brawny asked. Once we get all their ships, they will have no way to travel among their galaxies. We could prevent them from going anywhere until they sue for peace with your civilization. Or you can deal with them yourselves. Andrew said. How long will the war take? Sind asked. At our usual pace, their galaxies are 7 days from this area here, where we will first encounter the Marsons and Greenoes. Our forward ships would probably need 5 days to prep and another 2 to finish and clean up. So they're 14 days. Then you can talk to them. Andrew said. That's impossible. Sind exclaimed. No, it's not, Commander Sind. They destroyed all 30,000 ships in 2 hours from the time of their arrival here. The forward ships will not even encounter the 2 armadas. They will just prep them for the main armada and move on. Hilm said. How many ships are you sending out to deal with the enemy galaxies? Sind asked. Hilm answered, the original plan was 1,200. And you expect to finish in 14 days? Sind asked. Don't worry about these things, Commander Sind, we do this all the time. The main armada would probably follow and arrive just in time for the main encounter. How do you want your enemies? We would destroy all their ships and remove their capacity to wage war. But their ultimate fate is up to you. Andrew said. We may offer them peace. I will take over when you are finished disabling them from going into war. I would have asked the Grand Master Council for their decision on the matter. Mist said. Very well. I will send the forward ships now. Olive, tell the groups they can leave when they are ready. Take all the drones they can. Make sure they leave hop ships along the way. Hilm, Poom, make sure all your men are in the forward ships. Andrew said, and Hilm nodded. Olive appeared. Yes, Andrew. Maybe I should take some of your people, Commander Sind, so they can learn how things are done. Hilm suggested. Sure, that would be ideal. Sind said, and Hilm and Poom beamed out. None of our ships can see your armada. Mist said. Oh, yes, we will decloak once all the areas are secure. Andrew answered. Andrew, the forward ships will leave in 3 hours. Mist looked at Olive. Brawny was quick, great council leader. Olive is Andrew's ship. Most of them have similar ship persons they talk to. All their ships are very smart and do things without being told to. Our leaders from different galaxies and species will be arriving tomorrow to meet with you, to affirm our friendship and cooperation. Andrew said. We will be honored to receive them. Mist said. We were completely taken by surprise. One time we were preparing to deal with a possible ambush. The next few minutes, the war is over. We just saw the ships explode near their engines, then small ships started to appear and attack their weapon systems. We boarded the ships and they were all empty except for a few stragglers who we had to fight with. Sind explained. This is what these people do. Their preparation is long and extensive, and the planning is very detailed and meticulous. And they are very much experienced in doing what they do, so they do it well and quickly. Brawny said. It was a team effort and we have a lot of help. Andrew said. Our people in the main capital of the 4th colony are preparing a feast for your people. We would like to invite your people to come in for a few hours to meet our people and celebrate our victory. Mist said. Yes, of course. How many days are we going to celebrate? Mist laughed. Yes, I would say 5 days in 5 planets. We will try not to bore you, Andrew. But as you know, the Maquis will celebrate for another 10 days. And for good reason too. Imagine 2 very large Maquis collectives that separated long ago will be joined again. Of course, Mist. But you know we have to leave after a day or 2, Andrew said. Olive approached them with a tray of brandy and several glasses. Here, Mist, try this. Andrew got the bottle and poured Mist a large one. Then he gave one to Sin, then to Bronny. Olive took over and poured several more and gave them to the other people near them. Bronny could see several Olives and other AIs serving drinks and ice cream to the people in the hall. Andrew, this is a fantastic drink. Mist exclaimed. We call it brandy. Be careful though, you can get drunk. Bronny turned to Mist and, first you will feel really good, Council Master, then you will feel funny. This is really good. Sind added. The other Maccabee commanders concurred. Bronny told me you have gathered all the spies in one place? Mist asked. Yes, and after we process them, they are all yours. Andrew answered. Bronny added, Council Master, all the spies will undergo a mind-reading session to see what their participation was, and these memories would be part of the collective and will be public knowledge. Some of my people disappeared, so you mean they are spies as well? Sind asked. I am sorry, Commander Sind, there were dozens of them. 2 of my best friends, Ronto and Chasm, in the council are spies. Bronny said. So that's why we can't find them. Mist said. There are a lot more. We started with the Emperor and his leaders, then the secondary leaders, and so on down the chain of command, and we saw a lot of spies and collaborators. Bronny added. You have their leaders in custody? Mist asked. All of them. Bronny answered. We would have to deal with them according to our laws. Mist said. Yes, Hilm and Poom wanted to kill them already, but we have our laws to deal with them. Bronny said. We are finished with the very top leaders. You can have them now if you want. Andrew said. No, we'll deal with them later. I will just tell my justice magistrates to prepare. Right now are happy and exciting times. Mist said. Olive reported, Andrew, the reading of the middle leaderships and some of the spies revealed that they have several thousand bombs deployed in the unoccupied planets. The destruction of their communications network and the virus messed up their triggering, but it could be dangerous. Can the ships find them? Andrew asked. Give us an hour. Andrew turned to the group. As you can see, there is still a lot of work to be done. But we will be there when you are ready for us, but as you know, we cannot stay for long. We have to deal with the 2 armadas coming in. Yes, we understand. Let's go to your ship, Sind. Mist said. We will wait for your advice, great leader Mist. Bronny said. The next day. Ari, Debbie and Sungun beamed in. What's up, Ari, Debbie, Sungun? Andrew greeted. Sungun started, Andrew, when we finish helping you, most of the Crimson and Trunties would like to request that you move us to this planet between the 4th and 3rd colonies. We would start a settlement there. 30 Crimsons will be expelling their offsprings in a few months. We would need space and the offsprings would be in the hundreds. The Trunties are excited. Sure, after we deal with the Marsons and Greenos. We can then stop becoming invisible and deliver you there. Why did you want to settle here? Andrew asked. 12 Crimsons and my group will stay with your ships. The others want to commune with the Mac collective here in the 4 colonies. I think this is completely unprecedented. Moving out of our planet is one thing, traveling this far, then deciding to start a settlement, then finally starting a family, this is unheard of. I believe that we are very comfortable with the Macs here, and the Maccabees are good people. So we decided this is a good place to be. Sungun explained. Ari added, Uncle Andrew, the remaining 12 Crimsons will get all the information they can from the Crimsons reading the Macs and connecting to the collective. Then they will bring it home to the other Crimsons, Trunties and Macs. Actually, all the Macs in our Armada are excited to connect to the collective once we reveal ourselves. After we deal with the 2 alien groups, of course. Debbie added, Actually, sir, when we get back home, the remaining Crimsons would like to establish themselves on a planet at the center of the Mac galaxies. Then they wanted us to transfer a 1/3 of their Crimsons to their chosen planet. Again, an unprecedented move for us. Sungun exclaimed. Sungun, is there a way for you guys to help the enemy, to bring them back to society? Andrew asked. He means like hypnotize them or remove the effect of the rock on their minds. Ari seconded. We have looked at the prisoners. On most of them we can do something because they are least affected, but there are those whose minds have regressed so much we cannot do anything. Although maybe after a few years those severely affected would regenerate and rid itself enough of the effects that we can hasten their recovery. Sun Gun answered. There was a time right after we read the enemy leaders' minds that Crinsons wanted to burn their minds, turn them into vegetative state for the evil they caused, but a lot of Trunties, Macs, humans, Imkis and Norsets objected. So they can do otherwise as well. Debbie explained. Then that is what we can suggest to the Maccabee judges who will try them for their crimes. Andrew said. The Maccabees are good people, they help those in need and their society is one of the most advanced and largest societies we have encountered so far. Although there may be a lot of anger and call for revenge, in the end they will be kind to their enemies as you are Andrew. Sun Gun said. I guess in a society's millions of years of history, this event is really like a fever that flared up and was cured. After a few thousand years, the society heals completely and the kindness will carry it through. While they know they got sick, they would think of it as a natural thing they can just forget and it would not matter much. Ari said. You learned something very important today, Ari, Debbie. It's just that sometimes people must be reminded about this. Andrew said. Very well said, Andrew. But right now the pain the Maccabees feel is very high and they may not see this the way we see it. Once their collective sees and feels the pain and evil from Crinson, they will be even more unforgiving. Some would but most will have no part in the kindness. Ellie appeared. It is precisely these times when they could not feel to be kind that defines their kindness and raises it to a higher level. Not only are you a comedian, you're also a sage now, huh, Ellie? Andrew greeted. Everybody laughs. I still must master the punchline delivery like you do naturally. Sir. Ellie said. Later that day, Rabina and Rebecca appeared with Ellie at Andrew's bridge. Then Gadden, Keelmill, Eric, Tonan, Gantley, Roger, Linda and Lachine appeared. They gathered at the lounge but stood up with Andrew facing them sitting on his chair. Ellie started, Sir, I believe the forward ships should tow 20 of the most advanced ships we captured. Earlier we deployed our antivirus scripts to all the enemy ships and in a few minutes the virus was deactivated. We found out that they have communications with the Martians and Greenos using special frequency combinations using their long-range communications equipment. We do not have these kinds of equipments because our telecommunications platforms are totally foreign to these. I see where you're going. Call Hilm and Pulm over here please, Olive. This is good news. Tonan said. I agree. Roger seconded. Commander Trom, Commander Leamy, Hilm and Pulm appeared in less than a minute. Ellie repeated what she earlier said to the Maccabee commanders. So we will have the advanced Imperial ships as baits so they can communicate with the enemy and at which time the virus will be deployed. And bombs would be beamed in. Hilm said. You're quick, Hilm. Andrew said and realized his qualifications to be Brawny's top commander is shining. Did you also know who will be operating the bait ships? Gantley asked. Of course, Pulm would. Hilm said and the group laughed. I don't mind, but there are 2 groups of bait ships. Pulm observed. Of course. I would let Commander Trom lead the other group. Hilm said. You would have to change uniforms and study these ships. Roger said. Rabina explained, what will happen is that you would pretend to have just engaged the Maccabees and made a run for it. They will of course see the damage and they will see your engines knocked out and you are using backup power which is almost out. Normally, the protocol would be the Maccabee commander must present himself to the Armada commander and personally ask for help being an ally. The commander at this point can still refuse to help. In this case, the Martians would most likely not help. The Greenos may or may not and I wouldn't count on it. So the idea is to delay their trip so the virus can be deployed and our people can prep the ships as best they can. Pulm explained. Good assessment, Pulm. Andrew said. After 4 hours from the time the enemy armada leaves the Maccabee ships we would let the virus engage. We believe that the virus needs this much time to really infect all their systems. This would mean that while they are trying to solve the issue, we beam in the taggers if we need to or send in exploding tags and beam all the enemy into a holding planet. Ellie said. Then we can study how the virus fared and we can redesign them to be more adapted to and effective against the Martians or Greenos data and communication systems next time around. Rabina said. We have the ship designs in our database that we can study and bomb their shield generators and secondary engines as targets after the main engines. Hilm added. Yes, Hilm. Olive, tell the bombers about this new directive. But tell the Norsets to analyze the kind of bombs we need for the job. Olive appeared. Yes, Andrew. When will the 20 ships be ready to be towed? Tonan asked. They are at different locations. I will have ships tow them near your group. They will probably finish towing the 20 ships and delivering them here in 3 hours. Ellie said. I will gather people who are familiar with the ships. Hilm said. Linda told Olive to show a holo of the route and battle areas. From our forward drones we found several routes we can take to engage the Martians group. These would be the routes they would take as well. Now we identified a point where they have to group, and this is where we believe we can hit them here. As for the Greenos, there is a long-haul trip over a long void here wherein they will disperse wider, but once they hit this area here they would get closer. So immediately coming from the void we can hit them here. Poom added, so the Imperial ships will be set here for the Greenos and here for the Marsons. What if they ignore the bait? The ship will hail them continuously, but if you can expect that the commander will not help, they could very well ignore the ships at all. Hilm countered. Not if you're one or some of the top Imperial commanders with the best of the best ships in the Armada. Eric said. Kristen, can you come out with a chameleon device for their top 10 Armada commanders? What's important really is for them to allow themselves to hear your communications. This alone will give us the opportunity to get the virus in. A few shouts would be needed and the virus would be in their ships. It takes a bit of shout-outs since the virus has now become very large. We combined the telecom virus with the main one. Ellie said. Kristen beamed 10 chameleon devices beside Eric, who was standing by the rail. Poom, try this on. He showed him how to work and turned it on. Poom turned into Commander Tind. Commander Trom tried his and he turned to the first commander city of the Imperial Special Armada. You both look so real. Can the ship scan the difference? Hilm asked. No. They can't. All they would see is a Maccabee. Underneath is a Maccabee. Ellie said. Poom turned back to himself. I think this will work. Even the Marsons know Commander Tind and how he looks like. Why don't we put in 1,000 ships per group? This way we can maximize the short amount of opening we have to beam in the bombs and so on. Andrew suggested. That's fine, boss. And we are already prepared to leave once we get the decoy ships. In fact, the division has been planned at that level of ships. Eric said. The extra ships are prepared to go in 3 hours, Eric. Thank you, Olive. Andrew said. Then we're good. More ships can operate in less time. Eric said. Have you plotted the 2 courses and the positions already? Andrew asked. Linda answered, yes sir, we have, but it would depend when we arrive near the area if we see something better. Very well. So everything's a go, right? They nodded. They all beamed out except for Eric and Gantley. Olive, can you call Phillips and Hyru? Andrew said. In less than 3 minutes Jenny appeared with Tiffany. Good, you're both here. Andrew greeted them. Andrew started, I don't feel right about something. I think the effect of the rock has spread further than we assume. I want you two to divide the 200 or so ships into 2 groups and nosy around the furthest 2 galaxy groups, the first and second colonies. Use the Max to snoop around. If you find some infected Maccabees, read their minds using the Crinsons and Trunties. You know the drill. Follow the trail to expose all the collaborators. Yes sir. Phillips said. I have the same feeling, boss. It's looked so easy. There must be something we missed. Eric said. I think we should trace them from the 4th colony Maccabee spies. They probably know each other. Gantley said. I will do as you suggest, sir. Phillips said. After 3 days, Andrew, Ellie, Linda, Lachine, Tonin and Gadden with 1,000 ships were ready to deal with the Marsons while Gantley and the other GX-1 were to deal with the Greenos. Commander Sind and several thousand men were assigned with Andrew's group while Commander Boln was assigned with Gantley's group. Poom appearing as Commander Tind in his flagship were being towed as part of the 10 enemy ships that would act as bait. Trom appeared as Commander City was at his ship also being towed by Gantley's ships. All the men of Tind and City wore Imperial Armada uniforms. The group arrived at their ambush positions in less than 2 days, and before the end of the 2nd day they have positioned themselves according to their original plans. The Imperial ships have started to move towards the Marsons and they expect to meet them in less than a day. The ships maintained a course near planets along the route to make the Marsons see their need and distress. We will wait in ambush, right? Sind asked Linda. You could say that. Deploy the drones now. Andrew said. The drones are now being beamed to their assigned positions. Olive announced. How many drones are you deploying? Sind asked. 500,000. Olive answered. That's a lot of drones. What will they do? Singh asked. Their assigned task is to take out the enemy weapon systems and small ships. If they need to. Andrew said. Sind looked confused with the last comment. The forward scouts, 10 ships, widely dispersed, will be in range in 2 minutes. Their shields are on. They have seen the Imperial ships and relayed the intel to their command ship. They are moving forward, slowing. They are taking positions along a wide arc. Olive said. Beam 100 drones beside each scout ship. Andrew said. This is Commander Tind of the Imperial forces. We are in need of assistance. Please respond. Commander Tind started to hail the Marsons ships. The Marsons ignored him and kept on moving. Tind continued to hail for assistance, explaining their medical needs and lack of long-haul flight capabilities. The Martians have scanned their engines and they realized several of them were damaged and not working, but at least 2 were working. This is Commander Iskapin of the 1st Martians Fleet. We cannot render assistance at this time. We will tell your ships to get to you when we arrive at your planets. Commander Tind countered, can we at least have our crew to go back with you to our planets? Our life support has been compromised. No, we cannot fight with too many men on board. Iskapin said. Let me then give you our data on the enemy ships. Tind said. We will accept the data. Opening a secure data channel now. Iskapin answered. Commander Tind sent out information of the Maccabee ship positions, armaments, and support ships. We have several attack ships if you want them? Tind asked. No, we have our own. Iskapin answered. Okay, if you say so. Tind said. We would notify your commanders to send ships to you. Iskapin said. He stopped transmission and continued on. A day later, Iskapin's ships lost their shields and their power fluctuated. They were now on alert, but their ships have no shield. They tried to fix the problem and realized there was a virus that got in sometime within the communication between Tind and their ship. The ships initiated antivirus protocols and waited. They expect the virus would be contained in an hour as the ships rebooted systems and cleared all recent information. After 30 minutes, several explosions rocked their engine rooms and backup power systems, and all the ships lost power. Life support will be gone in 24 hours. All the men started evac procedures. Have all the taggers finished, Olive? Andrew asked. Andrew, they are returning. All will be back on board in 5 minutes. The Martians have launched transport ships. They probably would want to go to the holding planet. Their attack ships have also been launched. Tell the taggers to beam back in 2 more minutes. Lachine said, and Andrew nodded. After a few minutes, Olive announced, Andrew, all our taggers have come home. Tell the ships to start transporting the tagged Martians to the holding planet. Tell the drone operators to engage the scout ships. Andrew said. There would be a few hundred Martians that were not tagged and would be left on the ships. Linda said. Sind could see some of the transport ships suddenly stop. From the scans, the number of Martians in the ships started to decrease. After several minutes, all the tagged Martians have been beamed out. Several hundred remain in the ships. Olive said. Send the Marines and the Talonauts to tag the remaining Martians. Andrew said. All the scout ships have been destroyed by the drones. Olive said. The Marines and Talonauts were methodical. Several groups started from the stern and moved up to the port side, while the other groups started from the bow to the starboard side. 2 groups per floor moving in the opposite direction. The ships identify their target Martians. Some of the Martians were hiding in very tight sealed rooms, and they beamed 1 Marine inside to tag them. All the ships are now empty. Olive reported. That wasn't so hard. Sind observed. Let's tow them back to the Maccabee galaxies. Andrew said. That's it. What will happen to the Martians? Sind asked. Once we are finished with their homeworld, we will tell their leaders to bring transport ships to get them back home. A bargaining chip. Sind said. You got it. Andrew said, pointing to Sind. I wonder how the guys are doing. Ellie asked. Gantley appeared as hologram. Speaking of the devil, what's up, Gantley? Andrew asked. 10,200 ships are now being towed back to the Maccabee galaxy. ETA 4 days. Gantley said. Roger and Eric appeared also, sir. We may have to send forward ships to the Martians and Greenos home worlds. I'll take 10 to the Martians while Eric will take 10 to the Greenos. We talked about this, Andrew, and we would be laying drone relays along the way. We would also have drone probes all over their galaxies as Eric and Roger sees fit. Gantley said. Good idea. I am thinking of giving the task to the Maccabees so they will finish the job while we tow all the ships all the way to Manpat's area. Andrew said. It may or would then take them months to come over. Eric said. Not really, the ships would still have our captains and crew, but the Maccabees can come on board maybe twice the number of our crew, so our crew can teach them while they are on their way to the Martians and Greenos. The Maccabees would have to act as lead to the operations. Andrew said. How long? Gantley asked. Maybe 2 months. Andrew answered. That means we would be deployed as scouts for at least that long. Roger said. Frankly, I don't know. Maybe they would take their sweet time and may even decide to just talk. Andrew said. Andrew, tell them to get in there in a month and deal with the enemy, or we will. Gantley exclaimed. That could work. Andrew said. Maybe 10 ships would finish the job if you take too long. Roger said. Frankly, if we are able to tag all their ships and beam them out and render their ships crimson invisible, the war is finished. Eric said. See, Andrew? Gantley asked. Fine, I will tell them that all will be done in a month. Now if they do not want the glory and insist in being there in 2 months, you have orders to proceed. Works with me. Roger said. In that case, Roger, Eric, I think you should take at least 200 ships each and twice the taggers and infiltrators. Gantley said. I agree. Roger said and Eric gave the thumbs up. So it's a plan then. I still have something to work on, something with Jenny in the other colonies. I will tell them they have 30 days from now or you guys take the glory from them. Andrew reiterated. Absolutely. Eric said. I will advise you through the drone network on their decision. Andrew said. Right, boss. We will wait for your order. Roger said.